Hello, guys, and welcome to the first Wrestling Man's retro review of 2011. For those of you that are new to this YouTube page, basically the retro review is basically this. I'm saying basically a lot, I don't know why. But anyway, I review old WWF Coliseum home videos and tell you, the fans, the viewing audience, at the end of this review, if you should go out of your way to go find this tape on eBay or Amazon or wherever it's sold, because, you know, they're not at the stores anymore, or if you should just completely skip over the videotape. Now then, on to today's videotape. Once again, it was another close voting, but in the end, the winning video, and the video that is going to be reviewed today, is the WWF's Amazing Managers. Now, you saw right on the front cover, 4 of the all-time best. Classy Freddie Blassie at the top, Captain Lou Albano on the right, Jimmy Hart at the bottom, and Bobby Heenan up on the left. And then on the back, Mr. Fuji down over there on the bottom, and the Grand Wizard of Wrestling on the top. Now, this tape is hosted by Bobby the Brain Heenan. So that's automatically a score right there, Bobby Heenan hosting this tape. And he does a really good job, I thought, of hosting this tape. So basically, you know, it just talks about the intro is the managers, you know, how important they are to wrestlers, and, you know, if you make them or break them. So, you know, sort of the typical usual intro stuff. So our first clip is Don Muraco on a beach with 3 beautiful women in bikinis. Thank you, Lord. That is how every videotape for the rest of eternity should start off, with 3 beautiful women in bikinis on a beach. I don't care what video it is. I don't care if it's a movie. That's how every movie should begin for the rest of time. 3 women in a bikini. So anyway, the first manager that is profiled is the devious one, Mr. Fuji, which leads into a very entertaining tag team match, I thought. Mr. Fuji and Don Muraco against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and the Junkyard Dog. Now, unfortunately, this match is clipped because, well, that's what they used to do back in the day of the Coliseum videos. But it's a really fun match to watch. With the storyline with Steamboat and Muraco that was going on at the time, and then you add in Mr. Fuji and the Junkyard Dog. It's a fun match, and there's one point in the beginning which is just so awesome. Steamboat goes to the outside of the ring, you know, hits Muraco. Muraco goes over the guardrail. Steamboat follows him. Steamboat gives Muraco a body slam on the hard floor. And then Steamboat leaps over the guardrail, goes back in the ring, goes on the other side of the ring to body slam Mr. Fuji. That is freaking awesome. That is just fantastic. You don't see that often anymore. That was great. Great stuff. So then our next manager that's profiled is Luscious Johnny Valiant. They show a clip of an interview from the TNT show with him and Brutus Beefcake. Vince asking him, why did Brutus Beefcake come to you? And this is one of the rare times where you don't see Luscious Johnny Valiant yelling in his interview or in his promo like he does all the time. I mean, just go on YouTube, put in Johnny Valiant promos. You'll see what I mean. And then they show a match of Johnny Valiant against Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler. And I'll tell you, for a while, it looked like it was going to be a straight-up job. It looked like, you know, Lombardi was going to job to Valiant. But then Lombardi actually gets some offense in the match. It was actually surprising, you know. But Valiant, at the end, got the win, you know, because this is a profile on managers, so has to be that way. Then we get a clip of an interview with the Grand Wizard of Wrestling, who is with Don Muraco. Very good promo, very good segment with the Grand Wizard and the Magnificent Muraco. Then we go into Classy Freddie Blassie. Very well done segment, I thought. Starts off with the ending of the tag team title match from WrestleMania 1, where Sheik and Volkov win the title, and in the interview where Blassie's like, "What cane? I didn't have no cane." And then they go to a match, Nikolai Volkov against George the Animal Steele, with both Blassie and Albano at ringside. So, you know, I mean, it's not going to go down in the top 100 of the greatest matches of all time, but it's an interesting match. Ending is fun to see. Like I said, it's not an all-time classic, but it's an interesting match to see. Next, we do a segment on Cyndi Lauper and the Fabulous Moolah as female managers. Shows the highlights of Wendy Richter and Moolah from '84, the match where Richter wins the title the first time around, and then the interviews before the match at WrestleMania 1 with Wendy Richter and Leilani Kai, which shows the end of the match. So, you know, it's sort of just there. Then a segment on the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, where he is interviewed with Greg the Hammer Valentine. You know, and Jimmy Hart's like, "Look at him, he's now 250 pounds. When he was with Albano, he was 265, drinking beers," and, you know, and they're getting ready for WrestleMania 1, the match with Junkyard Dog. Then is Bobby the Brain Heenan. Yes, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Oh, man, if you don't like Bobby Heenan as a manager, then you're not a fan of wrestling. First they show Andre body slamming Big John Studd from WrestleMania, and Andre throwing the money out. Then they show a match from Toronto of Andre and Studd. And it's an interesting one because Studd tries to cut the hair of Andre again. And these pair of scissors are, like, the blade of the scissors are huge. You know, every time I see this, I'm surprised that, you know, Andre or John Studd didn't get stabbed by accident with these scissors. You know, so Andre gets the scissors, cuts a little bit of Big John Studd's hair, and then King Kong Bundy comes out, and Studd and Bundy go after Andre, which leads into a little feud, which in a future episode of this retro review, Andre does meet King Kong Bundy in a match. And then, you know, all the babyfaces come to save Andre from the beating of Studd and Bundy. Then we go to what I thought was the best segment of the entire video. The quest to sign the Macho Man Randy Savage to their stable as a manager. Randy Savage was, and it's sort of the old cliche nowadays in wrestling, the hottest free agent in wrestling. So, they do these little segments. Well, not a little segment. This is a pretty fun segment. Vince McMahon, this is TNT. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back in a minute to something with Bobby Heenan. That was awesome. But Vince McMahon has Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, Fred Blassie. Each one of them tries to convince Randy Savage why he should pick them as their manager. Bobby Heenan says, you know, you come with me, you know, you'll go to Beverly Hills every day, you'll get clothes every day, you'll get to meet the stars, you'll get to meet the celebrities. Jimmy Hart's was the best one. I swear to God, if I was Randy Savage, I would have gone with Jimmy Hart on this one. You know, we'll get discount clothes, we'll save more money, you know, and in the end, you know, you'll get more money, we'll save a lot more money, we'll spend less, we'll get more money, you know, by discount clothes. That was just great. Straight up, that was badass. I would have chosen Jimmy Hart right then and there. And then Freddie Blassie, you know, tells him, you know, I'm the only one of these managers that's led someone to the World Heavyweight title. I will get you diamond rings. You see the diamond ring there? I'll get you diamond rings. And then Karrion Kross, he takes out like $1,000 in cash. You know, $100 bills, $1,000 in cash. You know, in today, Freddie Blassie would be straight up pimping. I mean, carrying that much money, $1,000 in cash with all those diamond rings, that's straight up pimping. And I'm saying that because, you know, geez, Freddie Blassie was a pimp. Let's just say it. He had the best clothes, he had the money, he had the jewelry. Freddie Blassie was a pimp. So then we see Macho Man Randy Savage facing Jim Young, and Bobby Heenan makes some comment about how he made a mistake and how he's going to go nowhere in this business, blah, blah, blah. Savage wins. All the managers are out, you know, to see the match. Heenan, Hart, Blassie, Fuji, Valiant. And then Savage introduces his new manager, which ends up being Elizabeth, who, in my opinion, is truly the first diva of wrestling. You know, that term is now used these days in wrestling. And if it wasn't for Elizabeth, and this is my opinion, if it wasn't for Elizabeth, there would be no Sable. There would be no Sunny. There would be no Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler. You know, the list goes on and on and on. And going off topic for a minute, BleacherReport.com, I think is the name of the website, came up with a list of the 100 hottest, you know, females in wrestling of all time. Elizabeth was 96th. Are you kidding me? 96th. 96th. And you put Melina, who is probably the ugliest diva in the WWE, ahead of Elizabeth? Elizabeth is top 10. She's probably top 5. And you put her 96th? You let me make a list of the top 100 hottest, you know, females in the history of wrestling. Elizabeth would not be a 96th. I'll tell you that much. So anyway, I want to go back real quick. There was one part of the videotape with in the Bobby Heenan segment where they do advice to the lovelorn, and Heenan is the first one to ever do it. Very good segment, very funny segment, especially the last question. And it's like, my husband has a 6-inch scar on his face that turns me off. Is there any way that, you know, it's so funny because Vince and Lord Alfred Hayes, they're just losing it, and Bobby Heenan's keeping the straight face, you know, during this segment. It is absolutely great. So after the whole manager thing for Macho Man, we get a quick profile on Hillbilly Jim, because Hillbilly Jim was a manager for like 3-4 months when he was injured. Then they talk about the manager of the year, you know, which happened in '85. They did a segment with Blassie and Hart talking about, you know, who they, you know, why they should win and who they would probably vote for. And then the actual ceremony comes down to Bobby Heenan, Hillbilly Jim, and Captain Lou Albano. So, you know, they get this number where it's like 1 million people, over 1 million people voted. Heenan at first has like 300,000 votes. And then the other managers, Valiant, Fuji, Hart, Blassie, give all their votes to Bobby Heenan, which puts him at like 514,000 or something. So then, you know, Hillbilly Jim asks, well, how many votes did I get? I think he got, I don't remember how many he got. And then he said, well, how many votes did Captain Lou get? Well, I'd like to give all my votes to Captain Lou Albano. So Lou Albano ends up getting more votes than Bobby Heenan, and Lou Albano becomes manager of the year. And then Heenan hits Albano with the trophy, and then Stud and Bundy come in. They attack Hillbilly Jim, and then Uncle Elmer and Cousin Junior come in to make the save. So Albano is manager of the year, despite everybody giving all their votes to other people, which really I don't think makes any sense in voting today general. I mean, could you imagine the presidential race? You know, like the last one, Obama and McCain. Like if somebody was like, You know what? I'd like to give all the votes in my state to John McCain, or I'd like to give all my votes in my state to Barack Obama. You know, God, this would be the most screwed up voting system in history. So anyway, our final set is on Captain Lou Albano, and in which we find out that Lou Albano has a video coming out. Now that video was already reviewed, very first retro review. It is on the in the videos of my YouTube page, so look it up if you're interested in seeing the video on Captain Lou Albano. So they do an interview with Lou Albano on TNT, and then they show highlights of a tag match with him and Alpha against Andre the Giant and Pedro Morales. Like I said, it's clipped. Albano bleeds in the end from a headbutt from Andre. Of course, I never understood why. And then Pedro just pins Alpha. That's the end of the match and the end of the tape. So, what did I think of this videotape? Well, despite them saying controversial WrestleMania footage, woo, they're trying to, hype up the videotape. This is an excellent videotape. I didn't realize until I was watching it yesterday how great of a videotape this is. And yeah, I know that WWE came out with a DVD a couple years ago of managers, on the managers, and it was, outside of WWE. They did like WCW, ECW, NWA, whatever film footage that they had. But if I had to compare the two, I think this one is the better of the two because it gives a lot more time on profiling the managers instead of the DVD where, say, like, you may get a 5-7 minute video package on Jimmy Hart, and then you go to like a 3 to 5 minute video package on Sonny, and then the host gets in and talks, and then they go to something else and all that. But this is a very, very good videotape. I definitely recommend you guys getting this tape if you can find it on Amazon or eBay or wherever, tapes like these are sold. It is definitely worth getting this tape to watch to add to your video library. Real quick, I do want to say before I leave that in the next couple of weeks, the next opportunity to vote for the next edition of Wrestling Man's Retro Review will be coming up. Just stay tuned in the upcoming weeks, and you will get the chance to vote for the next Wrestling Man's Retro Review. Until then, this is Billy Hankobi saying, have a good weekend, everyone.